Across the Aisle segment tonight, delivering the Democratic response to President Trump's address to Congress, former Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear accused the president of ignoring serious threats to our national security from Russia. He also warned that people would die if Obamacare was repealed. And by just recycling old Democratic fear-mongering on Russia and Obamacare, Beshear seemed to be out of the loop, as if he hadn't even listened to President Trump's speech. Take a look.
Mr. President, folks here in Kentucky expect you to keep your word, because this isn't a game. It's life and death for people. These ideas promise access to care, but deny the importance of making care affordable and effective. They would charge families more for fewer benefits and put the insurance companies back in control. Behind these ideas is the belief that folks at the lower end of the economic ladder just don't deserve health care.
Joining me now, Professor of Education at the Johns Hopkins University and founder of the 1954 Equity Project, Dr. Wendy Osefo. Doctor, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Liz.
All right, first of all, let me ask you what you thought of Governor Beshear's response to President Trump's joint address to Congress. To be honest, like I said in the introduction, I thought it sounded like he didn't even listen to the speech.
Liz, I wouldn't agree with you. I think Beshear's response was spot on, actually, right? He's really speaking to the needs of the American people, and I think that what he talked about that really sent something home was he said, you know, President Trump, you often say that you're for the people, you're for families, you're for improving some of our most disadvantaged populations, but the words in which you're saying and then the actions in which you will be taking by repealing Obamacare is completely contrary to this. So I must say that my thoughts really align with the Democratic response.
Right, I think they picked this former governor of Kentucky because one of his talking points is that he successfully implemented Obamacare in his state, a state that desperately needed some sort of healthcare reform here. But if you actually look at the facts, it's a little bit contradictory, Doctor, I think, because in Kentucky, the Obamacare co-op actually went belly up the year Governor Beshear left office, which was in 2015. Premiums in Kentucky have absolutely skyrocketed, which we know there are a lot of low-income people in Kentucky. That's not something that they just have extra cash laying around. And then insurers also left the co-op as well. So I guess I don't understand why he's the one bragging about it.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that when it comes to the Affordable Care Act, it touches more than the 22 million individuals in which are covered by it, right? With the Affordable Care Act, we're also looking at individuals who have been able to get free cholesterol testing, contraceptives, colonoscopies, right? Premiums have gone down for senior citizens when it comes to them being able to afford some of their medicines. So when he's talking while, you know, in his own state, there may have been some issues because of course, the Affordable Care Act is not void of any errors. We would never say that. That's not true. There's some places that we can definitely make some pivots. However, we cannot negate the impact that it has had on the lives of not just the individuals who are beneficiaries of the Affordable Care Act, but also on individuals who are not even signed up for the Affordable Care Act.
But I think if you ask the average American, and I don't even think that this is too much along party lines. I think Democrats, Independents, Republicans, Libertarian, whatever you call yourself, I think most people agree. I mean, the largest impact Obamacare has had on us is that premiums across the board, across the country, have on average gone up by 25%. In some states, Doctor, 60, 70, 80%. In Arizona, just last year, premiums went up 116%. I mean, that's not only is that not affordable, I mean, that makes it not accessible to the American people. The people who need health care the most, they can't afford it. That's not workable.
Well, you know, you could say that, but then let's look at some of the stuff in which the Republicans are looking to do, right? Like, let's look at what the GOP has proposed so far. What we know, because again, the facts are limited, and that's another issue. The facts continue to be limited. We keep on using this buzzword of repeal and replace, but right now, we don't even know what is going to be replaced, right? But what we do know is that based upon some of the information which we're getting, 10 categories within the Obamacare Act as it stands now that looks to help families, that looks to help individuals with the GOP response, that will be removed. That's what we do know. We do know that while, you know, Trump...
Right, and I think President Trump
Go
actually, this
ahead,
was
Liz.
interesting. I didn't expect this part. In his speech, he opened by saying what about Obamacare he plans to keep, or he's encouraging Congress to keep in their repeal and replace. And again, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think these are bipartisan things. I mean, you and I both agree, doctor, that people with pre-existing conditions should be covered. We both agree. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, that people up to age 26 should be able to stay on their parents' insurance, or that there should be a bridge for people who are on Obamacare not to lose their coverage. I mean, coming to the table with things that both parties agree on, that's a good start. That's worth listening to.
Absolutely. But what's so interesting is the GOP often uses those two things and saying that no, Obamacare is going to remain the same. ACA is going to remain the same. And they tout those two things about pre-existing conditions and then individuals who are able to stay on their parents' health care. But let's also look at some of the other things. Right now, when it comes to older individuals, when it comes to senior citizens, as it stands right now, they cannot be charged. They can only be charged up to 3 times as much or more than their younger counterparts. With what is on the table right now with the GOP, it's a 5-to-1 ratio. Let's look at Medicaid. When it comes to Medicaid, what we're seeing right now is based upon the information that we're getting out, 70 million people are covered by Medicaid right now. However, based upon the information, we are seeing that the GOP is looking to remove it from a federal entitlement and giving it back to the states. So these are issues that people are having problems with. While those two elements in which you talked about, whether it's individuals being able to be 26
let me
and stay
go quickly
on their
before we run
parents'
out of time here. Let me go through some of the other ones, because I mean, I sincerely want to hear across the aisle. I mean, I don't work in Washington. I'm not, you're not in Congress. We're not so
Absolutely.
highly partisan that
Absolutely.
we can't come to the table and compromise here. But some of the proposals that Republicans are putting forward, I mean, being able to purchase health insurance across state lines, which will open it up to competition. I mean, you don't disagree with that provision, do you?
No, I do not. But what I do disagree with is that President Trump often talks about the inner cities, and he talks about Chicago, and he has really made that something that he said is so important that he wants to address the issues of low-income families. However, when you say one thing, but then your actions are contrary to that, one of which is Medicaid, and we see that GOP senators like Capito is basically saying, no, you cannot touch Medicaid. That has to be in there. That is completely one of the issues that we have as liberals, is this whole notion of him saying one thing, but his actions saying another. So we just want to make sure that individuals who need health care the most will not only have affordable health care, but have effective health care.
Right, no, and I agree with you. I do not disagree with you. I just feel that especially people in inner cities or people in Kentucky, going back to the example I used before, I mean, in 70% of the counties across our country, the market, I mean, Obamacare is in a death spiral. They only have 1, perhaps 2 options of plans to choose from. That's not accessible. That's not affordable, because they simply don't have a choice. Enabling this type of competition, that's going to give people choice. And like I said, I don't think that that's a partisan thing. Giving people more choice, I think we both can agree on. Doctor, we're out of time, but thank you so much for being on the show. It was great to talk to you.